Welcome to this week's episode of Timeout. I'm Sean.
And I'm Alexis. And on this episode, we discuss the unstoppable Kentucky Wildcats, the Oakland Athletics make a surprise signing, Randy Moss says he wants back in the NFL, and we take a look at the worst sports comebacks.
But first, Linsanity is sweeping across North America. The second-year player for the New York Knicks has become the biggest story in sports, averaging 27 points and 8 assists in his first 4 starts. The kid is having a breakout year, but some people are saying the attention is undeserved. So what do you think, Alexis? Should Lin be getting so much attention?
I think Lin should be getting about 85% of this attention. It may be a little too fast that they're putting him on this huge pedestal because there's a high chance of him falling, and then what happens then? With Carmelo Anthony back in the lineup and Stoudemire soon to be back in the lineup, will they be able to mesh in with this Linsanity craze, or is it just a one-time thing? That's
a good point. My feelings on the whole issue are that it's a good story, it's a positive story, and I think that's why people are so focused on it and people are eating it up. It's good that the sports media finally found something positive to latch onto. Back in the Super Bowl, we were hearing all about how wrong it was for Giselle to stand up for Brady, how Brady screwed up, how Welker dropped balls. And it's nice to have something coming into the mainstream that's a little more positive. So I'm for it. You know, the kid's going to fall down eventually, but
everyone loves an underdog story.
That's right.
And now to the NCAA. It looks like the Kentucky Wildcats may not be able to be stopped. They are currently taking up residency atop the NCAA rankings, and they only really have one loss to Indiana from December. With only 5 games left in the season against conference teams, do you think they'll stay up there?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. This is the best team in the nation for sure. They're the favorite going to the tournament now. They have the best player in the country as well. Anthony Davis is the consensus #1 overall pick. And they make no mistake. The only way this guy doesn't get picked #1 is if a leg falls off or something like that, because he's awesome.
Or the Raptors get #1 and pick some European guy.
That could happen too. Davis has 14 points per game, just under 10 rebounds, 9.9, and just under 5 blocks per game. He's a beast. And with that supporting cast as well behind him, they might go all the way and win the NCAAs. Turning to Major League Baseball now, the Oakland Athletics signed Yoenis Cespedes, the most sought-after free agent of the 2012 class. The Cuban defector has tons of upside. It looks like he's going to be a great player, but nobody's sure because he hasn't played one game in the MLB. The Athletics signed him for 4 years at around $36 million. So what do you make of this signing? Is it money well spent for the A's?
I think it's not money well spent. You don't really know how good this guy is. Sure, he was leading the Cuban leagues in home runs, runs, and RBIs, but does that translate to MLB? And also, with Moneyball just coming out, you would think that the A's would stay true to their cost-efficient ways in signing players instead of throwing 36 mil at this guy when their payroll is about 51 mil.
Yeah, really surprising. He's going to step in and be their highest paid player. Weird that Billy Beane would go ahead and make this deal. It really doesn't seem like it's the way they've been doing things in the last few years. But the guy does have tons of upside. And in today's major league market, you need to spend money to get good players. That's just how it is.
The Yankees have been doing it, so why not the A's?
Yeah, and to get these top level talents, I mean, this guy could end up being one of the greatest outfielders of the generation, right? Time will tell.
Randy Moss says he wants back in the NFL. So obviously here at Timeout, we were wondering, where will this rank in the worst sports comebacks? At number 5, we have Rickey Henderson. After 16 years of being in the MLB, he bounced around for a whole bunch of teams and then left in 2003. But then he had one last comeback in him and ended up on the Newark Bears in the Independent League and the San Diego Surf Dogs.
At number 4, we have Brett Favre, who came back to the New York Jets in 2008. They started off strong at 8-3, but he'd lost 4 of the last 5 games and they crapped out of the playoffs. Oh, and let's not forget the junk picks.
We shall never forget the junk picks. At number 3, we have Bjorn Borg. He was on top of his game in the tennis world, but decided to retire at 26 years old in 1983. But then in 91, he thought, why not pick up the racket and get back in there? Bjorg was ousted in the first round in 12 straight ATP events, and then he decided not to take that embarrassment and left the league for good.
Number 2, Muhammad Ali. May have been the greatest of all time, but even he couldn't call it quits. He came back and lost twice to Larry Holmes and then Trevor Berbick, who was virtually unknown. Who's Trevor Berbick? We still don't know. And he still got an amazing legacy, but for a lot of boxing fans, it was hard to watch that slightly bloated 40-year-old legend lose to people who were way below his skill level.
Ali has to move, and he's done. He's just standing there. He's driven back to the ropes again. Ali's punches are barely getting out there.
And at number 1, we have Michael Air Jordan. We're not talking about his first comeback to the Bulls. We're talking about his second really pathetic comeback to the Washington Wizards. Yes, he made the All-Star team out of, I guess, obligation/pity. And yes, he was the first over 40-year-old man to score 43 points first and last. But he kind of just wafted around, didn't really do much.
Anybody remember this dunk when he clanked one off the back rim in an All-Star game?
Yikes.
And that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Sean.
And I'm Alexis. And that's our girl Kay. See you next time.